Hey sillies, how you going? Good, I'm great. Let's get into the video. So at the time this video is going to go up, it's probably going to be about a week into 2020. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. And with the new year among us, I decided that I was going to actually keep track of what I wanted to get done this year, unlike I did last year. Last year I had a general idea of stuff I wanted to get done, but I never actually kept track of that stuff, so most of it just kind of fell apart. This year I went out, bought a brand new hardcover journal. Let's see if you can get the knock on the mic. Oh, beautiful. I love hardcover journals. And I decided that I was going to make a list of all the stuff that I wanted to get done specifically in 2020 and some stuff that I want to get done like over the course of several years. So for this video, I'm just going to focus on the 2020 stuff, and I'm also only going to talk about the work related goals or the art and animation related goals. The personal ones aren't all that interesting, to be honest. So starting the 2020 goals list, the first thing is to start my first full-time professional animation job. For those of you who don't know or haven't followed me long enough, I'm actually currently a uni student, and the 17th of February marks the last week of my uni classes. So after that, I am a graduate. And not to sound cocky or anything, but I feel like this one will get ticked off within the first half of the year, just because I've been working towards this goal specifically for a couple of years now. I've made a couple of connections with people in the industry and friends and stuff like that. So definitely gonna happen this year. Aiming for the first half of this year because I graduate in February, so if I don't have a job towards the end of the year, oh boy. But yeah. Next on the list is to just grow and expand my Instagram account. I've had Instagram for about a year, but the posting up there is usually really inconsistent with like what's going on in my life. Just posting to Instagram isn't a priority for me, but I want to keep the posts regular and I want to keep it interactive so that people know what I'm working on during the year. They feel comfortable and able to communicate with me. And I just want to expand the audience so that I'm reaching more people essentially. Aha, this next one's fun. So I want to start posting to YouTube way more regularly than I used to. I used to only post like a couple of times a year, which is pretty sad to be honest. But this year I want to upload at least 1 or 2 videos every month. The reason why the number is so small is because I have presumably going to have a lot going on during this year, and so I don't know how much time I'm going to have to dedicate into videos, so most of them will be just speed paints and talk videos like this, but I am definitely aiming to post here more regularly just so that you guys can like keep track of what I'm doing and stuff. I don't know, it's hard to explain. The next thing on my list is actually in relation to my long-term project, Forget Me Not, and it's to have Forget Me Not starting its storyboard phase, or at least having it prepared to start its storyboard phase. Now the script for the entire first section of Forget Me Not is almost complete, and the reason why I'm giving myself the whole year to prep it up for storyboarding even though the script is almost done is because there's just so much more that needs to go into it. So we need character turnarounds and expression sheets, which are done, but then on top of that, background characters need to be designed, the scenery needs to be all thumbnailed and mapped out and like have final designs for it. One of the main things in the story is a car that needs to be designed and have turnarounds for. The script needs to go through a couple of editorial rounds, so I've kept it maybe 2 or 3 editorial rounds before the script is 100% complete. The characters have multiple costumes, so the costumes have to be designed. There's just so much that has to go into the actual like design aspect of the story before it can go into the storyboarding phase, even though the script is almost complete. So yeah, hoping to have all of the design elements of Forget Me Not down pat and like ready for the storyboarding phase, and have the script itself go through 2 or 3 editorial rounds before storyboarding can begin, because as much as I want to just jump into storyboarding and begin animating it, there needs to be a really strong foundation, and I've been stressing that so much with Forget Me Not because when I didn't do that for Noble Blood, everything just kind of fell apart, so to speak. Another thing I had planned for 2020 is to completely like rebuild my Patreon page. My Patreon, I really only had it up just for the sake of having it up. I put it up before all of the new like surcharge fees and the new rules for Patreon happened, just so that I could get around those, because if you already had an account, you weren't going to be affected by those fees and surcharges. The Patreon was mostly centered around Noble Blood and working on Noble Blood, but because that's not happening anymore and I'm working on Forget Me Not, and on top of Forget Me Not I'm going to be working on a bunch of other things, I want to sort of give the Patreon a fresh coat of paint and rebrand it so that even though I don't have any patrons, and I probably won't have any patrons for a really, really long time, at least when I do start getting them, the page is relevant to what I'm doing and it's up to date and it's current for stuff like that. Speaking of doing other things in 2019, also related to Forget Me Not, I wanted to start planning an art book for the entire series. Now, not going to be finished this year, definitely not, but just start planning it, like having thumbnails of page layouts or like having a checklist of everything that I need to get done for the art book and like just slowly ticking them off, because most of the stuff that has to be done for the art book has to be done before we can go into the storyboarding phase anyway. So there's a good chunk of that overlaps, and I figured if I'm going to be doing that stuff anyway, why not release an art book? The art book is mostly going to be for myself, just because I like the idea of having all of this work in progress and stuff in the form of a book. But if we do go on with our plan and have a Kickstarter for Forget Me Not, which I'll go into way more detail in another video, but if we do end up having a Kickstarter for Forget Me Not, one of the very, very top tiers is going to be a hardcover, like signed copy of the art book. If it goes well and we have a lot of people want the art book, I'll release like a softcover, unsigned version for a little bit cheaper. But just like mainly for the Kickstarter and mainly for myself, I just really, really want to see all of the like work in progress and custom like thumbnails and stuff in art book form, just for my own personal gratification. So yeah, just start planning the art book for Forget Me Not. On the topic of books as well, another thing I want to get done is plan out a really small sketchbook type thing to sell on Gumroad or on Amazon or something like that, just as a little bit of passive income. It won't be very expensive and it won't necessarily be Forget Me Not or Noble Blood or like series related. It'll just be a couple of nice sketches that I really like, and just a way to earn a tiny bit of money on the side while I job hunt. I actually got this idea from Michelle Lamb, also known as Me Tripled on YouTube and Instagram. She's a really, really great artist. I loved going through her sketchbooks. She graduated from CalArts and then hopped straight into storyboarding for Netflix, I believe. She's someone that I look up to quite a lot, and in one of her videos she was talking about passive income, and she mentioned that her sketchbook tours were basically promotions for her sketchbooks on Gumroad, and like she would sell her sketchbooks as a little bit of money on the side while she was studying, and I thought that was a really great idea, so I might try that this year. The last thing on my goals list for 2020 is a little bit out there. I don't know if I'm actually gonna do it, but I saw a couple of other people trying it and like dipping their toes, and it looks like a really fun idea. I want to try teaching a Skillshare class. Now, I'm not too sure what kind of Skillshare class I would teach. I really want to do one on character design, just because character design is something that I've loved and worked on and honed on for a couple of years now, and I actually have connections with a Disney character designer. We talk a little bit, and like he's told me, you know, the do's and don'ts of character design, and some really obvious stuff and some not so obvious stuff that I think would be really beneficial to some people. Another class I thought about teaching is planning long-term projects and like how to actually follow through with your projects and make sure things like land properly. So I would go into like the importance of planning, like categorizing your ideas, how to actually make sure everything flows properly together and stuff like that. I'm not a professional by any means, but if I could use my own experience to help other people plan their long-term projects, or like, for example, know the importance of the silhouette rule in character design, then I really want to try, and I think Skillshare would be a really fun way to do it. I don't know, we'll see how we go. It seems a little bit out there right now, but like I said, I saw a couple of other people doing it and I thought it would be a really fun idea to at least try. So yeah, those were my planned out goals for 2020, or this year at the time the video was going up. There are some that I've already started working on, like for example getting Forget Me Not to its storyboarding phase and getting an animation job and stuff like that. And then there are some other ones that'll take a little bit of work to get into, like the Skillshare thing, which may or may not happen. We'll see how we go. But yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. Bye guys. If you sneezed at all in this video, bless you, and I'll see you later.